Yo, PHOENIXTURF is back and we are officially having a good run this time, yeah? I'm gonna be more consistent and pumping out more videos for you lot. Hope I get new, people into the fan base, and yeah, man, let's have fun with it. As you can tell, I grew a lot from, the last time you guys saw me, but yeah, man, the creative genius mind of mine is still here and still thriving, so I might as well do another readie of one of my famous series, the Superman one. I know I can do a lot better than any of the other two, and yeah, let's start the what if. Plus, I'm not using AI this time, I'm gonna go back to my old roots. Well, this can't be a Superman story if it doesn't start off in Krypton. So it starts off in Krypton. Deku's parents have put him in a space pod. He's getting sent out, for safety, of course, because Krypton is dying and it's exploding. Deku, being the only survivor, gets sent to a planet near a solar system, which was struck onto the GPS by his mother. Deku and a few meteorites would crash land in Earth. The meteorites would wipe out cities, towns, homes, you name it. It would kill dozens of people. It would become a global disaster, becoming one of maybe even the biggest parts in human history. This event would change the rest of MHA as a whole. The way villains are going to be described in the story, the way heroes are going to be brought up and how they have strict rulings. Well, a lot of that impacted from when Deku arrived on the planet. Deku can be a miracle. Yes, he can be a hero. But the way he landed, shaking the world, it's a reality check that as much as the villains are a problem, maybe the end times will come and no one can help them. But that's where they're wrong. That's where my Izuku Midoriya will show up. Like, for instance, my All Might might slowly not be kind of the symbol of peace. He will be, yeah, but it will be more of less hope, less hopeful, less charismatic, less charisma. It should have that whole smiling thing, yeah, but just more be an act. And I feel like the people of Japan will notice that ever since that earthquake thing, he's been the only one helping them, right? He's the one on TV. You see him carrying 7 people on his shoulders. Like, you know what I mean? That guy is a big figure. Yes, he might have got more praise, but that mentally, what he saw, the gruesomeness, is something different that people even might see in wars. And with that, I feel like the character of All Might also declines with that. As much as he's strong-headed, we need a Superman in this universe. And a Superman in the universe is a world without hope. And we know Superman's main message is hope and a new day for tomorrow. So we need Deku to have an impact, first off, already in the story. Because what is a what if without an impact? That's what I'm saying. Like, you can't just have the same story as he had in My Hero Academia. It's not a what if then. Something has to change the storyline just a little bit, just a fragment. Sorry for that, that's the motorbike behind me. But yeah, we just need something to change the fragment of the story in order for it to be a what if, and that is exactly what I'm trying to do. So Deku, of course, he arrives at the barn. Inko's parents own the barn. Actually, they're like the farmers, the owners, the elderly. And her boyfriend Hisashi came over to visit. They were planning on having a baby, but due to some medical reasons, Inko can't. And hey, the miracle came. That night, Inko and her boyfriend and the rest of the family got shotguns and went outside and want to go look. And you know what they saw? They saw Deku. They said, oh my gosh, let's cover this up. This might be a miracle child. Blah, 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 blah. The grandparents were too sure about this. Well, let's say the grandpa and the grandmother said it's just a baby, blah blah blah. Inko started caring for it, started saying this is hers, it's hers only, even shares the same hair color as her. So she knew this had to be a miracle from God. And yeah, maybe. And yeah, she took the baby, all of them, they raised him. Later, let's say 3 years, they was just staying there looking for a house or home, an apartment in the city, and they eventually moved to the city. The city going through a lot of rebuilds. That's how they managed to get a home. What else? Let's say, damn, my brain just went blank like I didn't know the story. Okay, so yeah, they found a home. Oh yeah, Hasashi dies, because we know Hasashi does actually nothing for the plot. And I don't really... Not Hasashi, oh my gosh. I just used Hasashi in space. My gosh, I totally forgot. My bad, guys, my bad. They just call him boyfriend. The boyfriend died. Yeah. And so... basically, Deku's living with a single mother who's basically a widow. And he sees her depressive side. You know, it's crazy. You know, losing such a person that was in your life, especially the person he was providing, which is kind of like, you know, it's hurtful. Some summers, it's because Inko's going out extra work. She works throughout the whole summer, so Deku has to go to his grandparents, and you know, his grandmother dies, so his grandfathers teach him the ways around the farm. And not only that, he's having a personal connection with him, and not only that, he's learned that he has powers and he's not from this world. They explained everything to him. What else? They showed him the pod, everything. The pod gave him a GPS crystal. He learned how to fly in the barn for the first time. It was amazing. They recorded it for memories, and then Deku said, hold them smartly. Please delete that, or scientists will, you know, experiment in my body. And yeah, he soon found the fortress due to the GPS crystal, and he put it into the ground, and the whole Fortress of Solitude came out. And with that, he actually met his father, Hasashi, but Hasashi was a hologram, of course, just like in the movies, in Man of Steel, and etc. He kind of teaches Deku the Kryptonian side. He would probably miss throughout his life. He's trying to get Deku to catch up, trying to show Deku that the S means hope, all this. Things that Superman knows by the time he is Superman. Things that Clark would learn. And throughout this, I forgot to tell you that Deku, he wears glasses. I'm changing the story just a little bit, just a tad bit, just to make, you know, some sort of effect that he's keeping an identity. That because the identity crisis between Clark and Superman is very, very crucial to the story, and I just can't have Deku have the abilities and just, you know, because then we'll have a plot like scientists trying to get involved, and we're not really trying to deal with that Lex Luthor. We're trying to aim for hey, I'm gonna just say, it's in the thumbnail, man. It's in the thumbnail. We're aiming for some type of dark side. We're trying to have some really mean guys. You ain't ready for the talking. I'm not here for the talking what is. I'm here for the action, you feel me? And that's what we're here for. And we'll probably have a General Zod and his Zod members. And yeah, as we know, with Deku's kind heart, him inspired by All Might, I guess his father and his morals, he realized that his abilities can be put to better use if he gets a hero license, if it becomes a hero, you know, because saving, you know, cats from trees at the farm at Summers ain't gonna really help the world of how much abilities he has. He practically could beat All For One if he wanted to. He's got powers matching All For One. He doesn't know his strength as much. He estimates that he could carry a pickup truck. By the way, in this universe, Deku will be having like this sort of fake, like a hoax, where he only shows one of his abilities, which is in public, or he says he has this one ability, which is a quirk, which is actually not a quirk, it's just his super strength. That's the only thing he really shows. The rest is kept hidden much, but at some point, it will be exposed in this episode.
reasons why I say this is for a Superman to work in this universe. I'm going to change a bit of how the hero society will see Deku due to after the earthquake and how much heroes they've lost due to the meteorite crash. Sorry for calling it an earthquake twice, I've just noticed. And yeah, several heroes are dead, and they're really trying to rebuild everything, including the villains are trying to rebuild. So yeah, it's more about survival right now. They're trying to pick the best of the best. So we might be having a Deku being a hero, but going to school part-time, whilst all his other classmates are probably just in main class. But let's not get too into the plot yet. So we flash forward to basically the first episode of My Hero Academia. Deku is in class, he is writing in his notebook. But this time, he's not writing about other heroes. This is where Deku should be a little bit different. Because what we saw in the first episode of the original My Hero Academia, Deku was writing only because he was quirkless. He technically stops writing once he gets his quirk. The only time he starts writing, actually hold on, he might have started writing when he was his classmates. But once he learnt about One For All, and the same way my Superman, he's already learnt majority of his abilities by now. Yeah, he himself should not be writing about others. The only thing he's writing about is himself, how to improve his attacks, how he can do some aerial tricks whilst flying to gain momentum, things like that. How far close to the sun can he get? He's calculating that because with super speed as he has, he can freeze a bit of time. How much time does he have to think before everything going back to normal? Stuff like that. He's writing all that in his notebook. Bakugo and some of the bullies in the corner, they're just talking about UA, and then the teacher picks onto it and they continue a whole UA discussion and where people are going to go after middle school. Deku, he says he's going to apply to UA with confidence this time. Deku will be a nerd, but you have more confidence because he never got bullied. The reason why I say Deku got bullied, Deku's bullying really made him more antisocial because he had no one to speak to about it. His mum wouldn't understand because she has a quirk. He was basically practically left in the bubble. This guy, in his mind, he's the most powerful man. He can have a somewhat type of confidence, but he's still going to have his quirky elements because that's still Deku. And yeah, he's practically just a Deku that was not really bullied but mocked. Bakugo would mock Deku, just try to belittle him. It's somehow like in real life where there's this like thing where you can degrade a person who's doing better than you by just saying more hateful stuff, even though you know they're better. That's exactly what Bakugo does. He knows Deku could be far ahead of him. He knows Deku does have a strong quirk. He thinks of him as a rival in his mind, whilst Deku thinks nothing of him. So it's basically Tom and Jerry, practically. So yeah, we wouldn't get the swan dive scene, and Deku would be walking home. This time I'm saying, because I don't want him to get One For All, because that'll be way too greedy. Has to go to Mirio or Bakugo, or maybe an OC, maybe an original character. I've never really done that, but maybe. But instead of the slime villain going to Deku, it'll go to Bakugo immediately, and that whole thing will happen. But Deku would be able to go home, safe and sound and that. His mother would tell him to go to the supermarket, like on the letter on the fridge. He would go, Izuku would head out to the supermarket. He would get the stuff and have her carry it back. Behind him would be a skinny old man. He will look to his left, hearing a whole lot of commotion. It'd be a crowd of people stalled. There'd be a little fire peeking out. Well, of course, somebody would scream, "There's a child in there." We need a hero, we need someone to save us. In this story, there won't be any pros around, it would just be Bakugo being in hostage. Deku at first glance, he would be unaware. He wouldn't know what to do, he would think of going home straight away. But he looks at his hand and his fist and he tightens it. Whilst the skinny man, he holds onto a pole, coughing up a bit of blood. Deku can overhear him using his super senses. And his super hearing, he's only got one more shot at this. And he can only last for 2 minutes max. Can 2 minutes stop this villain? And he was confused what this man was saying. He was hearing everything, but this man, out of everyone, he was talking gibberish. He was talking wild. He was talking like as if he was All Might. He might have been a crazy man, but he could be far from the truth. He could be All Might. But Deku didn't want to risk it. Deku saw the eyes of the schoolboy that was left hostage by the slime villain. It was Katsuki Bakugo. He used his X-ray vision to have a closer look, and it was Katsuki Bakugo. His heart froze. He knew this was one of his classmates. He needed to do something. This couldn't be in a news report. He knew that Inko and that child Bakugo, his mother, was friends with. And he couldn't see the sight of his mom being depressed even more by a new person in the area dying every second due to the violent crimes. It had to be done. Deku had to do something. If no one's gonna do it, we all know Deku would. And Deku went into the alley, finally donning his first superhero suit, the Superman Mark 1.
This suit would be similar to James Gunn's new Superman suit. It's more practical, more flexible, more bulkier. It's more of a homemade type of friendlier Superman suit, not like the Snyder Justice League suit. Reason why I do this, because I want Deku to don the Kryptonian suit, and that is in a later episode that I might put in today's. But however, let's go back into the plot. And with his homemade suit, it can be damaged by anything really. Of protection, armor, just does his work by making him in disguise. By the way, Deku removed his glasses, and with glasses, you can't tell who he is without them. So yeah, it's pretty much how comic Superman is. I know it's stupid, but if you're gonna have him do their abilities, we might as well just let him have that little secret identity thing for public. Zuki Midori would fly in, donning the Superman costume, of course. People would see this figure in the sky. People would start chanting, "Oh my, oh my." As some people do think and speculate that All Might does fly, but actually has impressive jumps by using, one fall. All Might looks up, and he's in his skinny form. He's in his normal form, and he's stunned and he's surprised. And he's like, "Who do I know with a flying quirk?" He's looking up. He's trying to figure it out. At first, he thought it was Aizawa pulling off some trick with his ropes. But then, this person had a cape, and he was like, "Huh? This can't be Grant? Who is this?" This person had green hair, red cape, red boots. He had a little kid's voice, but his words had power to it. He said to the slime villain, "Let that boy go." He did stutter a bit, but his word came out a bit clear by his aura. Everyone was like, "Who the hell is this?" with their phones out. The guy said again, "Leave the guy alone," whilst Bakugo is panicking for his life, screaming out help. Then the slime villain doesn't wanna contribute to any of the conversation. He's saying, "Give me 1,000,000 yen and I'll stop." Soups ain't having it. He sucker punches the slime villain, knocking him down, ripping Bakugo off. Bakugo falls face first. Deku walks past, bends down, looks at Bakugo for a second, then says, "Are you okay?" Bakugo recognizes the voice, but he can't tell who he is. he's not sure. At first he was about to say Deku, but then he realized, ain't no way Deku can do this. Deku only has a strength quirk, he doesn't have a flight, and everyone clearly saw him fly. So he said, I'm alright, get off me, and he would run in embarrassment. Deku would understand this is how his nature is, but really and truly Baku is thankful that his life was not taken. Deku stood up. As soon as he looked left, the slime villain would try to attack, but Deku was too quick, so he zoomed past him, then used freeze breath, freezing the slime villain in place. Deku took this as a chance to punch with all his might. Deku's never punched in his life, going full strength. As he punches, he rattles him. The ice shatters everywhere. It turns into a million pieces. It ends up making the slime villain turn into drops of rain. Everyone and their mama was surprised by this man's power. These people will start chanting, "Who are you? Who are you? Who are you?" And Deku would reply, as usual, as Superman, he would say, "A friend." He'll blast off. Everyone would take pictures, take videos. It would be a new trending topic, surpassing Endeavor on Twitter. He'd be placed ranked number 2 on top most trendiest things in Japan. Who this random man? Vigilante or hero? All Might was stunned by this kid's ability. His ability was strategic. It was like he planned for this day his entire life. It was like something All Might would do. Maybe even better. It was more of like an improvement of a prime All Might. It's like someone's watched his clips and learned from them. All Might was mega impressed. He was so impressed that he wanted this person as his sidekick. He needed someone on his side with this much strength. Especially if you're going toe-to-toe against a meteorite. We have to save lives quicker. We have to do much stuff. All for once planning something that we don't know. He needs that man in his team no matter what. On his side. Teamwork. I don't know. But All Might has a plan and he needs this super free. Knowing Deku, once Deku starts something, he's not going to stop. The same way he never stopped when he wanted to train to become a hero in the original show. So I don't think he's going to stop saving people when they need help. He's not going to stop stopping crimes, mini crimes, helping the old lady go across the street. I think Deku will do this all around the world, like gaining their confidence after saving a person that doesn't like you. People praising you for it, and you're trending. I think the dopamine drive in this Kryptonian, he would go crazy. Deku would be around the world saving people, doing the most littlest things. He'll do this during a long break for summer until he tries to apply for UA. And when he applies for UA, what I'm gonna try implement is him just only basing it off his super strength. The max I'll do is him practically pretending to be a peak human, even though he is superhuman and he's an alien. Yeah, but besides the point, Deku's out here saving lives, countless lives, and not just doing the crimes, saving the old lady. He's helping charities give food to the poor. He's helping people with protests about climate change, helping with the environment. Deku's just being a nice guy and how he is. Do you believe that this is how Deku would be if he had extra more powers? And this is before he really meets any major villains that start affecting his life a bit more. But with the free time he has, he'll do anything possible just to help the little guy. And that's exactly how Superman is. And that's exactly how a hero is. And that's why I'm saying this is just a stepping stone for him to become the greatest superhero of all time, as he says at the first episode. And now let's get into the more juicy part. UA entrance exam. And of course, our boy Deku's got the light blue retro tracksuit ready to show his ability. Well, only one, unfortunately, due to the identity stuff. And he is also wearing glasses. No one knows about his thing besides from his mother and grandparents. They approve because they know Deku's ability are out from this world and they can't really stop him. It's his dream. Even though he's illegal, but who's gonna stop him? No one can. They believe that's how they believe, really, because they've all seen the Fortress of Solitude. Once you see Hasashi's training him every single day, nothing's stopping Deku from even developing his powers and going out to go fight criminals, to go save people. And the thing is, he's not meeting dangerous folks yet. When I say he's gonna meet a dangerous folk, he is going to get to whooped in order for a reality check to happen. And that's soon later on. But it's coming. But so far, he's doing the nice things by helping the old people, charities, all that. He's just being the hero that everyone needs, right? Correct. So, honestly, so far it's calm. And let's just focus on the entrance exam. He enters UA. He says, wow, this is a big building. Then he trips. And he was about to use his flight ability to levitate himself back up on his feet. But Uraraka, of course, comes along, helps him with her great gravity quirk. At first, Deku thought he was flying. And he said, oh, screw. I've already jammed my secret identity and his quirk. But Uraraka would say, oh, that's my gravity quirk, sorry, I just saw you trip, blah blah blah. They'll be both awkward, blushing. Same thing would happen in the original. Deku would say his stuff, she would say her stuff, you know how kids are. And yeah, Deku would go inside, she would go inside. He would say, I didn't quite get your name. And she would say, her name is Ochako Araka. Deku would say, he's Izuku Midoriya. And yeah, he would, write the test so it's her. And of course, the rest of the people trying to join in. Then after they get put into the combat simulator, everyone adjusted themselves by warming up, doing a few stretches. And then a loud radio sound said, get set, 3, 2, 1, go. Everyone ran off. Deku, he had to analyze play, seeing all eyes off the court, just like you do in a sport. Deku would notice a robot close to him. He would soon run up to it, grabbing its leg and slamming it down, getting an easy point to the head once it collided with the ground. So far, Deku was number 1. Deku knew he was going to do this. He was going to easily beat the system. Eventually, Deku got around 5 robots. The rest people only got 2 or 1. Or some even struggled to even get one. Deku, he did it with ease, and it was only just 1 minute in. He already broke the record. All Might was the last contender, and he got 4 minutes in 1 minute. Deku was going crazy. All the teachers in the other rooms were shocked. They were surprised. They were all watching him. He pulled them intrigued. It was like he was a pro already. He was already professional. He knew what he was doing. He was never put in this situation without knowing how to get out of it. It was like this shit was easy for him. Of everyone, All Might was the most impressed. He was like, this kid, he's got something. Maybe I should give 1/4 to him. They all continued watching this boy with green hair, similar to the Superman guy, but oddly different in the face. This kid, he would always hold his glasses whilst fighting. It was very weird, but hey, if the man needs to see, he needs to see. Bakugo was surprised. He was like, how the hell did he? But he realized that Deku always has been this strong. And it's not really a surprise, but he was mostly surprised how comfortable Deku was in this scenario. Deku was going hit after hit on each robot like they were nothing. At this point, he was flicking them and they were going down. It was like he was All Might or something. And Then later on, as usual in the first episode, there's basically a kind of event for every single what if. Uraka is trapped underneath rubble. She's hurt, she's injured. I think her leg is, sprained. She can't walk. Deku sees this, but he does it with no panic. And Deku, instead of using a super jump or anything, Deku physically climbs onto the robot. He's crazy. He's a madman, and he starts pulling chunks of it with his super strength. And then finally, once he got into the head, to the red beam, he punched it with all his might, falling with the robot and coming out with his hands up, just like All Might. All Might, he smiled with the most proud dad moment, even though he didn't know the kid. He was proud that he clearly inspired this kid, and this kid should be the one with One For All. He looks at Uraraka, and then he picks her up bridal style and takes her to the medic. Deku gets told that, wow, you're amazing. What quirk do you have? Everyone's asking him that. He's saying, I just got this little super strength stuff. Everyone's saying, you're definitely going in. Like, no questions doubt. You did the best. Got Kaminari checking out his muscles, saying, oh my gosh, you're strong. How much reps do you do? How much sets do you do? What's your PR? Stuff like that. Deku would say, well, I eat a lot of vegetables. Similar to what Spider-Man said in Spider-Man 2, if you can understand that reference. And then he would ask one of the teachers, like Aizawa, when does this end? Because I need to go home quick. Aizawa was stunned. Like, this kid was so unfazed. He was moving nonchalant, but nonchalant in a way where he's not forcing. Aizawa said just about now, and Deku vanished. It was like this guy left in thin air, bro. And we all know what Deku was doing. Deku flew to the Fortress of Solitude as we finally meet in the scene Hasashi, the person who's been training him. And it says father, but hologram. Like in Man of Steel, he gives Deku advice, support, and everything else. Deku would be so happy and proud of himself. He would tell his dad how everything went on. His dad would be happy. Be really happy for his kid. He would say he would wish he would been alive to see it. Hisashi would soon interrupt Deku as he's fantasizing on him getting his pro license after he finishes UA. Hisashi would say, hold your horses, kid, as he would put up a drill with a hologram version of him testing Deku's laser vision. Deku would get a C in this test, as his vision wasn't hot, as he hasn't been to the sun yet. Deku still has a phobia on going to space. Bear in mind, Deku's still a child, and I feel like children and teenagers, they have this sense of fear, phobias, whether that's spiders, or anything really in general. And I feel like Deku, being Superman and being afraid of the space, middle of nowhere, practically where he came from, will be a very good way to like implement a Kryptonian, maybe possibly coming in from space and challenges Deku to a fight that leads in space, and Deku is in vulnerable situation, and I think that would work very well. Deku would speak to his hologram dad, saying that he met this girl, and we were talking about Uraraka, and he saved her, and Hisashi said, that's my boy. And it really sucked that Deku's dad really couldn't see it, and it's just technically just an AI version of his dad. And then Deku sits down and kind of a bit upset, and Hisashi AI basically calms him down and says it's okay, I understand. Then the Fortress of Solitude, there's like this suit maker type of like alien type of machine that crafts suits, but it's in development of Deku's next suit. Of course, the Kryptonian one, but it really takes so much energy from the sun and all that to create. So it's only around where the boots level. It's kind of like how a 3D printer takes time. That's exactly what type of technology
Kryptonians were using, but with their core energy. So yeah, Deku would say the boots are looking nice. I hope it comes in time. And his normal fursuit that his mother actually made him is kind of worn down. It's losing its color, and some of the fabrics are tearing as Deku is actually growing in height and in muscles. Our next scene would be in actually the Todoroki house. I know, something crazy is about to happen. Well, not really crazy, but you know. So we have Endeavor, right? He'll be chilling, or not really chilling, he'll probably be in the gym side of his house as he's working out on his muscles, you know, per usual. And then he checks his phone, seeing this Superman, Man of Steel guy, saving the day once again in over 17 different locations around the world. And Endeavor's like, what? This guy's humiliating me. He's taking my place as second place. What, I'm gonna become third? And then he realizes that he might be not the strongest person near All Might, and it might be this guy. And he knows All Might is his rival. And now seeing that this super guy is now becoming All Might's rival, what is he? He's practically got no value in the hero world. And he looks at Todoroki, who's training far ahead outside in the courtyard, and he's like giving a mean mug. Like, this super guy looks around at my child's age, and my child is not even better, not even 1% have an edge on him right now. And he realized that Todoroki's just using the ice power and will never use the fire, no matter what Endeavor says. And this just frustrates Endeavor. Endeavor is covered in flames, bits and pieces of his clothes are gaining smoke. Now I'm gonna have a similar scene to if you know Captain America Civil War, when Iron Man, Tony Stark, went to Peter Parker's house to recruit him. Sorry about that, that's just a street behind me. And with that, we all know what's gonna happen. So Deku just came back home from, stopping the crime. He's entering the home. He doesn't fly into the window, that's the thing. He knows people will probably follow him when he flies. Deku goes to a random location, then walks a few miles as, Izuku, and then comes back home. Then, when he came back home, comes home with shopping, all that. As he enters, he greets his mother, and his mother says, "We have a special guest," and it's one of the teachers from UA. Inku would say, "This is Mr. Toshinori from UA. He said that he was very impressed by your work ethic and how you actually conducted yourself within the exams." And Inku says she was very proud of him and gave him a kiss in the cheek. Deku would recognize the man, but he wouldn't really quite tell who he is. Deku said, "Oh, well, thank you. Sorry, I didn't see you at the exams." And he would say, and Toshinori would of course say, "Well, us the teachers were on a different side, different location, so we were just observing using CCTV." Deku said, "Oh, cool. Did I ace the test, by the way?" And I should say All Might. I can't be asked to say his real name. All Might would say, 100% kid, you did wonderful. Actually, so surprising that he even broke even All Might's record. It would even sound weird for All Might to even say his own name. But, of course, keeping the identity, he had to do it. Then Inku said, "I'm going to leave you two boys alone. I'm going to go, somewhere to do something." And, I might probably just cook something. Then they'll take it to the bedroom, as All Might would have to say something to Deku in private.
not letting Enko know. Deku would go into the room and say, yeah, I'm a big fan of All Might. Sorry about the posters. All Might would be astonished that this kid is really a fan of him, but he would know who he is. Then he would drop the act and say, my name is Tojinori, but you may know me as All Might. As he transforms into his big transformation, Deku would be so stunned he would fall onto his behind, and he would be so shocked, like he'll be like fanboy. He'll say, oh my, is that really you? No way. Stuff like that. And All Might said, yes, it is I, All Might, but I have to keep my voice down because I don't want your mother to know that you are Superman or Superboy, whatever you want to call yourself. Deku would say, oh, you figured it out. You're the only one that figured it out, right? You didn't tell the rest of the hero of the league, right? All Might said, no, I did my own personal investigation, hired a friend. And, as we know, All Might's best friend is a detective. And, yeah. Deku would be like, oh my gosh, I'm in trouble. I know it's vigilantism, but come on, man. I saved a lot of people, helped charities, helped homeless people, helped old ladies cross the street, helped them get their cats from a tree. All Might said, hold your horses, kid. You talk a lot, right? Similar to how Hasashi treated Deku. Deku would be like, oh. And All Might would say, I am not upset. He would turn to a small. He starts explaining how he's gonna die if he continues being All Might, and it's probably gonna happen soon, as he has that one injury, he can't be here for a couple hours, or he will shrink back to his normal self. All For One is planning something. He'll probably say the same thing he would probably say to Deku on the rooftop in episode 1. And Deku would sit on his, bed, and so is All Might. All Might would start explaining to Deku that I want you to have my power. Deku would be so surprised and stunned. You're like, oh my gosh, I can't have impressed you that much. And then Deku realized that this was the man that was talking weird at his first crime stopping when saving Bakugo. And All Might would realize too that this is the same person that helped that Bakugo kid, the slime villain, and with extraordinary power. Well, they all start talking, and Deku would say, are you sure? Because, oh my, you probably think I have multiple quirks. Maybe because All For One gave it to me. To be true, Deku starts saying, I'm not from this world. He's from somewhere else. He's from outer space. He's from Krypton, a destroyed, once civilized place. And his parents put him in a pod to Earth. All Might would be like, wow, so aliens are real. I thought that was a fantasy or something by the government. And yeah, Deku would agree. Deku didn't know all his life until he was 7 years old or 8. And he thought he was just like everyone. And the quirk, his superhuman thing, it's all a facade, it's all a lie. He'll explain everything to All Might. All Might will be like, wow, even your mother knows? And Deku would say, yeah. And All Might, he would like, wow, that's crazy, but I do want to give you my power. Deku was saying, I'll think about it. I don't know how I would react to my genes. And you know what? I'm glad that you came here because I don't know who I was going to tell. I couldn't trust no one. It is the
biggest secret of my life. And I promise you, you shouldn't tell anyone. This is something big. You know, I don't know much about my past, my parents' history. And I don't want dangerous people that could be in the phantom zone as we speak come out and hurt the people I love. So I have to be very careful with the secret identity stuff. And you finding me was pretty cool, by the way. All Might would chuckle as All Might would say your secret's safe with me. But in the meantime, if you don't want my powers, it's okay. I can give it to someone else. I already have someone in, demand of them and someone who knows about my powers. But I do want you to be my sidekick. And psychics aren't very popular in MHA, but Deku, he can help alongside All Might. All Might said, I'm not really fond of that Robin role, as it's a slight dig to Robin from the Batman comics. And All Might would laugh again, saying, this kid's got jokes. And Deku would say, maybe team up eventually. And All Might said, yeah, sure. You're going to be one of my students at UA. By the way, your class is class with me. You made it to the top of the class. And Deku will be saying, wow, I'm surprised. I did have a good idol growing up. And All Might would chuckle again as he would close Deku's door, saying, well, see you in class in 2 weeks, right? And Deku would say, yep, yes, teacher. Yes, sir. As All Might would say, thank you for allowing me to speak to your son, to Inka, and exit the door. Inka would say, who the hell was that man? And Deku, surprisingly keeping All Might's secret, he said a friend, as he would continue doing his homework. As I don't know, he doesn't have homework, right? Yeah, he already finished school, as Deku would just study fighting styles online, from different movies and TV shows with flying. Like, he would watch an episode of Invincible or something, as he would see Omni-Man doing twists and turns, mid-air aerials with Mark Grayson. And yeah, we have a cool post-credit scene with Koguri and All For One. Maybe we could add the Doctor, but yeah, sure. There's a purple portal. 3 figures come out. The ones I just named. But they're in a different area. Somewhere far from Earth. They are an apocalypse. Apocalypse is a planet covered in lava and fire, ruled by Darkseid. The 3 figures would kneel down and bow to Darkseid's throne. Darkseid would ask, what do you want and why do you come here uninvited? Kurogiri comes in and says, we have an opportunity, Lord. All For One would interrupt, saying, there's this boy, a child, with God-given abilities, elemental abilities, flight, strength, you name it, he's got everything. He's been destroying all odds put against him. Nothing can destroy him. He's gone even above the world's champion, All Might. We thought he was the strongest, but no, we are wrong. This person doesn't have a quirk, he has something more. And I know everything about a quirk, and them ones are not quirks. I do not know how to stop him. I do not know how, and I don't know what can stop him, but I know if you give us your wisdom and your Darkseid would say, I do not care for you humans and freaks, but a power of no origin does interest me. He says, find out what he is, bring him to his knees, and bring him to me. And if you fail, I'll just do it myself. Well, that was just the end of the,
could we call it a movie of part 1? I guess we could. Oh my phone just snapped. By the way, like and subscribe for more. Hit the notification button. You know, because I ain't consistent, so you might as well see me next time, innit? When its notification drops. But yeah, so far you guys stay safe. Yeah, man, tell me what is to do, in the future. And yeah, man, I'm gonna keep going, keep being consistent. And yeah, man, I have a lot of uploads to show you guys. But for now, turfers, it will be a goodbye, so night.